This generation will by no means pass away until all things take place. Everything he said about Jerusalem, it happened. And it happened within their generation. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass. God will let go of matter. But take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down with carousing. That is the wrong word. If you're reading a King James, it is a different word. And it has a very specific meaning. It's a suffeting. Suffeting is a condition. How many here were once sinners? Don't raise your hand. How many here have been really sickening, falling down, praying at the porcelain idol, drunk? Okay? You will know what I'm talking about when I explain it. This means, instead of carousing, where he says being weighted down with carousing, it means being weighted down with your notion of what's important and what should take your time and your money and all your commitment in such a way that it takes such preeminent that it hides your mind from the reality of what God says is important, and it'll be so severe that it's like that 2 minutes where your head is spinning and right before you hurl. That's what the word means. It means being so removed from reality, you think your job is what's important. You think that what's going on politically is the big deal. You think that what comes off on the news channels and the media is what's significant. No. He's saying that's not the big deal. The big deal is your relationship with God. What he says, what he tells you to do with your resources. But take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down with the porcelain idol and how you feel before you hurl, and drunkenness and cares of this life. It's all tied in that idea. Being so tied up with this life that you can't see what God says is important. And that day come on you unexpectedly. This world is going to be shocked when it all comes apart. They're not going to get it. We call it normalcy bias. Watch therefore and pray always that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. Friends, this is really important. There are those who hold the view that we're going through an entire tribulation. Why would Jesus say to pray that we would be counted worthy to get out of all of this stuff? Why would you pray for something that's never going to happen? Jesus says you get your face before God, you get out from under the suffering. You'd make a determination of what's real before God. Commit all that you are and all that you have to that. Make him Lord. Be the bondservant. And then you pray and you say, Lord, I'm praying, I'm believing you that the righteousness that you've given me will make me worthy to get out from under this stuff. John Corson tells a story, and I think it's worthy of telling, though I personally have not been able to verify it. He says that because of what Jesus told, when the siege of Jerusalem became severe, on the very day that Rome decided to breach the walls and invade, that a mass prayer meeting was occurring in Jerusalem among the believers. And they were praying, and the Holy Spirit of God was moving and stirring hearts in a remarkable way. And that the Spirit of God gave a word to those who were assembled together and said, go to the east gate and walk out of this place now. And the conviction that the Holy Spirit had spoken was so strong that they stood up, walked to the east gate that for some inexplicable reason was neither guarded by the Israeli army nor was it guarded by the Romans. And they walked out to safety. I'm still digging for historical evidence of that. I'm thinking about getting a hold of John personally and asking him where he got that. But you know, it makes a lot of sense to me. Jesus said, pray. Pray that you may escape. It does seem to fit. I don't know for sure. But I do know this. God's intention is that we should not be appointed to wrath. Now, does that mean that believers will not lose their lives? No, it doesn't. And I can tell you what an honor it would be to be taken and to have the keynote speaker's place, even if it's in chains, before those who think they have power to hear the true gospel one more time. It'd be worth it. I don't know which of us will be called on and be given that honor. Don't know. But I know this. It doesn't matter whether you're a Bible scholar or not. When it comes time for you to open your mouth, the Word of God will be in it. And in the daytime he was teaching in the temple, but at night he went out and stayed on the mount called Olivet. Then early in the morning all the people came to hear him in the temple to hear him. Came to him in the temple to hear him. Day after day until the day they took him at night and arranged for his crucifixion. He stood right there in the temple, no defense, no running, knowing what the mission was, feeling it was just. And the people flocked to him to listen to him, examine him. It's why the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the scribes so feared him, because the people were coming by the thousands just to hear Jesus. It's Tuesday. We start the rest of the week next week. Giving has to come with sacrifice, or it doesn't mean much. Today's Mother's Day. No, not today, but Mother's Day is coming. I didn't mean to. Excuse me.
Next Sunday.
Pardon me.
Next week.
Every day is Mother's Day, but we celebrate next week.
I'm not giving to the offering because he can't keep his days straight. What I meant to say is Mother's Day is coming shortly. And one of the nexus here with mothers and giving. The scripture records mothers that had a heart to give to their children, even though it meant their own lives. There is no greater example of a love that gives sacrificially than mothers. I hope to prove it next week. Today is communion. Yes, it is.